What's up guys, Mike here, and today I've got another Konosuba review on this wonderful Wednesday. Now it's Season 2, Episode 9 this time, and yes, sorry for reminding you, but the countdown for Despair-Filled Wednesdays will continue this week. Only a couple more, episodes until we're done Konosuba for good this year, as far as we know. Now I really am hoping for that Season 3 announcement at the end of the final episode, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed from now and not go and hope too much. This week's episode was another really good one, really funny, and I overall really enjoyed it. I mean, it's hard for me not to enjoy an episode of Konosuba. I really love everything about this show. It's so funny, it's just so many things about it that add to the overall enjoyment factor that this show brings week after week after week consistently for me. So let's get into the review today, guys. Now I'm just going to start off by saying the jokes subtly were on point this week, as they normally are. The sarcasm and the little one-liners here and there really make this show special, personally, in my opinion. They really add to all of the greatness that this show encaptures. So we start the episode with Kazem basically at the Axis church, and then he runs into some girl who tries to flirt with him, and yeah, he's not having that. He doesn't like it very much. I mean, he did fall for it at first, but she kind of tricked him like the old Aqua did a couple times back in the day. But no, he gets into the church, and there's some sort of confession booth there. So he goes to the confession booth, and he pretends to, or at least the person there pretends to talk to him and ask him, what is your sins, what is your confession? And obviously we can see this pretty clearly that it's Aqua, and I don't know if they were supposed to let us know that at first, but it gets revealed pretty quickly. From that point, they basically get into another funny argument where Cosmo is basically telling Aqua to, control your followers. They're just as crazy as you are, basically, if not crazier. So that's something that needs to be controlled if this town's going to work, or if we're going to be able to do anything in this town, like go to the hot springs or anything. You can't even move without being suffocated by all of these followers. Now this part was the first funniest part of the episode. I laughed really hard when I saw this. So Cosmo finally breaks down and he realizes that Aqua isn't budging on her little priest stand act in the confession booth. Aqua really wants to be some sort of god priestly figure that actually helps people, which is, I guess, noble, but at the same time she's really just doing it because she wants to feel good about herself or whatever. We know it's more selfish purposes for Aqua, but that's obviously what makes her character funny. But going on from that, Kazuma eventually goes on to say that he goes on to confess, and his confession is that he broke Aqua's cup. And at first Aqua kind of twinges and she realizes, like, shit, that I really like that cup. And then he goes on and says that he drank all of her fancy liquor that she loves and replaced it with bad hooch. And this was the part that really kind of made her snap, if not for the third part that I guess really did make her snap, where he said that he was putting up posters for a new priest, a new heiress priest in their guild. So that was pretty funny. But I'm gonna be honest with you, Aqua literally asked for it. She asked for him to confess his sins. She basically assumed that it would be something that she wants to hear, like, oh, Cosmo's got some secret crush on me or whatever. But no, it was the real deal. Cosmo broke her shit, and I mean, he was making up the third one, but at the same time, it was the cup and the alcohol thing was real, which was fucking hilarious. After this little argument, another dude comes in and he basically says that he's going to confess his sins. He doesn't really know who's on the other side, but he assumes it's some sort of priest or whatever. So he comes in and he starts to confess his sins, and he says that he has been attracted to an opposite god or another god, Eris, because of her chest and how good it looks on this one painting or whatever. So Aqua goes on and she goes on and talks about temptation and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and all is forgiven. The god is good and I will forgive you no matter what. And this guy eats it right up. He starts bawling his eyes out or whatever, and then she drops the big bomb and she says, yeah, Eris pads her breast. Now chant this after me over and over again and you will be at peace. Your temptation for big breasts will not be there anymore. And I just thought this was one of the funniest moments of all Konosuba. I really love that Aqua's kind of like subtly jealous and really competitive with Eris for this spot of, the #1 religion or whatever. And she does go on later in the episode to say that her followers relate directly to her power. So it makes sense that she tries to cut down her other followers or whatever, but like, Eris is below her. She really should just kind of, try to help her out a little bit. I mean, Aqua's got to help herself, though, because she's got a long way to go as well. The next part of the episode takes place back at the hotel or whatever. They're doing a few bath jokes with Wiz and Darkness and Megamine, which were kind of funny. And then they actually go into the hot springs finally, which we were expecting last week, but we didn't really get until this week. And wasn't really the whole crew. It was more just Kazuma at first. He walks in, and then there's this new couple that we haven't seen before, which I'll get into in a bit. But I do think that they will have a part to play in the upcoming future of the next couple episodes, because I don't think that they would be introduced if that wasn't the case. But the design of the one girl is really interesting. She's got like elf-like ears and like a red dot on her forehead, and I wonder if she'll be some sort of special race with powers or whatever. I don't know. Maybe she won't even come into the future of the story, but who knows? You know, maybe it was for comedic effect. But I think that either way, it's a possibility. This part was actually another really funny part where Cosmo first gets into the bath and these two are talking, and we don't realize that Cosmo's in there at first. But after a while, the girl just says, "Yeah, I'm getting kind of uncomfortable. That guy just keeps staring at me. He won't stop." And Cosmo just repeats over and over and over again, "Don't mind me. No, don't mind me. Don't mind me. I'm just looking, don't mind me." And she eventually just gets up and runs away. And the dude doesn't care either. He's had enough of the town, as it appears. He's pretty frustrated when he throws the soap on the ground, and he's just pissed off because he keeps thinking about all the people trying to convert him and do whatever and trying to get him to join the Axis Church. But even still, this bath scene was really hilarious, and it gets even funnier when Darkness and Megamine come in next. Obviously, they're not in the same bath because Cosmo chose the mixed one because he's like a sexual pervert, and they just chose the women's bath because they're women or whatever. But they don't realize that the mixed bath is right beside them at first. Well, actually they do, and they suspect that Cosmo is kind of listening in. Rightfully so, to be honest with you. After a little bit of yelling at the other side of the mixed bath, they don't hear anything, so they assume that he's not there, or so we think. They assume that Cosmo's innocent, and they just start talking nice about him a little bit. And this part was actually kind of sweet, because they did say some good things about him and how he's a good person, and they were right. You know, he may seem like a sleazy guy on the outside, but deep down, you know, he doesn't really care about what other people think, and he'll do what he thinks is right. And he doesn't give a shit about rank. He'll just talk to any noble or any person of high stature, and tell them off if he has to. And that's a good thing about Cosmo that I like about it, especially in this new kind of adventure world. It doesn't really mean as much, obviously, because it's not the real world, but even still, that part of his character is pretty good. At this point, Cosmo feels a little bit guilty for listening in because they're saying all these nice things about him, so he kind of starts to back off a little bit. And then all of a sudden they start talking about like Megamine's butt or like Darkness's boobs or whatever. So he jumps right back onto the wall, and they immediately suspected that he was listening the whole time. So as soon as he tries to peek his eye through the little slit in the door, he gets a good punch to the face. And they just start throwing stuff back and forth at each other. Another hilarious moment. Just adds to the chemistry of those three characters especially. So then they go back to their little hotel kind of area. I don't know if it's exactly a hotel, but I think it's some sort of like inn type building thing or whatever. And Aqua's there, and she's crying because she was kind of kicked out of her own church for purifying all the hot springs into regular just hot water. And she finds out that the hot springs, or she finds this out from the main priest of the Axis cult, that the hot springs have been declining in quality over the past couple little while. And they think that this might be the result, or Aqua thinks that this might be the result of the Devil King trying to sap the Axis Church of their income. She comes up with this big elaborate theory after she was done her crying, and she wants everybody to help her in her big plan to stop the Devil King from hurting the Axis cult. Obviously, it sounds a little bit crazy, but I mean, it does have some validity to it, I think, because like the guy did say that the quality had been dropping in, and that may mean nothing, but I don't think that they would add it in if it meant nothing, or maybe just for comedic purpose again, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out. At this point, nobody wants to help Aqua with her plan at all, so they end up going back into the city. And Megamine and Cosmo end up just having a little bit of a lunch in the town hall. And the scenery is really nice at this part once again. I really do like the animation when it comes to this beautiful city. And I really hope that they're able to bring the plot elsewhere throughout this world. If the series does continue. I mean, there's not very many episodes left this season, but hopefully it ends on a positive note, and like I said at the beginning of this review, hopefully it gets a season 3. When Megamine and Cosmo are eating their lunch, obviously more people come and try to convert them, and they're just getting absolutely tired of it. I mean, after that, at first it was like funny or whatever, you know, kind of surprising, but now it's just like they're pestering them to the point of exhaustion. They can't even really deal with it anymore. So they go to the dock area or whatever, and they're just kind of just burnt out, laying on the side, just kind of wishing that people would stop bugging them. And they see the guy from earlier who comes and dumps all the forms into the water. And there was a little funny scene there as well, but which was pretty good. But I don't know what that guy is really introduced for, because he gets disappeared right after Wiz shows up for some reason. And I think that maybe have to do with some sort of Devil Commander thing. If I had to guess, he was another Devil Commander, even though that seems so highly unlikely. I mean, there's really been no evidence to point that out. I just wonder why he disappeared when he saw Wiz. And maybe Wiz would recognize him because she's also a Devil Commander. I don't know, that's just a random theory I thought I'd throw in. It's probably not true, but it's something to think about. Not too far away, Aqua then tries to hop up on a big fountain and speak to the town about her big plan. She goes on and tells them about her theory that the Devil King is sapping their income and they need to do something to stop it, and nobody is believing her and nobody's even falling for it. And I feel bad for her at this point because she really is trying and she really wants her followers to believe her, but then she goes and she tries to pull the goddess card again. That's not gonna work. That's not going to work whatsoever. The townspeople do not buy that one bit. In fact, they're actually offended by the fact that she would consider themselves her goddess. So the one guy even suggests that they tie her up and toss her in a lake. Yeah, that seems rational. No, but in all seriousness, it seemed as actually really funny, and Aqua's desperateness to be recognized just goes without lengths. I mean, and it adds to the comedy, of course, especially when she goes and she bawls her eyes out every time after, like she did this time at the hotel. And then they go and they find out that the whole town is actually rioting to find her and kill her because they think she's a witch. Maybe, I don't know if they'll kill her, but there's a huge riot in front of their house, and they're trying to witch hunt her, basically, because she said, or she claimed that she was a false goddess or whatever. So this whole episode actually was hilarious, and the ending was another good one. They really know how to wrap up their episodes properly, just like last week's episode with the Oni-chan. That was really funny, and same with this week's episode with the gorgeous, not gorgeous, but amazing Aqua and Cosmo faces. Probably thumbnail material, to be honest with you, but there was a lot of good facial expressions this week, almost more than usual, and I really like the way that they're doing that. So overall, this episode was really, really good. Once again, I'm so sad that it's coming to an end soon, but like I said, maybe season 3 for the 3rd time. Who knows? Anyways, guys, that's all I got for this review of Konosuba Season 2, Episode 9. If you liked the video, then like and subscribe to the channel if you want, and comment what you thought in the comments below. I'll talk to you in the next one, guys. Peace.